Also, if my voice ever cuts out like it did right there and you don't hear anything from me, the channel that I am is set to push to talk only. And I find that I'm going to have to be here for a good hour and 20 minutes, and I really don't want to hold the button down the whole time. So you kids be sure and just let me know if y'all aren't hearing anything for a while, because I'm going to talk for most of the time, but I might not be audible because I didn't have the button pressed. But here we are in the opening section of the game. We won't see any enemies spawn until the second time Ness leaves the house. So really, the only reason anyone will be ahead or behind is just going to be due to stream delay, or because it's a little bit less than optimal pathing. But really nothing important going on here in the opening section. I think it was fixed, so let me change back over so I don't have to worry about holding this button down. And alright, we are excellent. So, we're back here at the house. You have to go up, talk to Pokey there. Just simply find out that, hey, something's up, but Pokey's on the case, he's going to get it. You get back home, Mom makes you be a responsible child and go back up. But here we are, we got a little bit of a knock at the door. Ness, being a diligent teenager, must go inspect it in his pajamas. And something you'll notice here, the NPCs are going to be moving differently, as well as the spawns are going to be different for both of them. With the way the memory works in Earthbound, or really just the RAM values, or as you may hear it very commonly referred to as the RNG values, those change over a variety of situations, and with how they work, the NPCs will move differently, you'll get different spawns, you'll see different amounts of damage rolls, you'll see just different actions in general, and everything that determines that is everything from where you walk to when you press buttons, when you advance text, or not really when you advance text. Advancing text does move the values, but it's not like you're doing anything different. But also when you move the cursor around. Each one of these things does have an impact on how everything in the game is affected. If you ever see anyone talking about RNG manipulation in Earthbound, essentially that is going through for the first about 19 minutes or now about 33 minutes. And if you're able to hit the buttons in the same way and play the exact same way every time, you're able to get the same results and get through in an extremely optimal pattern. We don't do that for these races. And it just makes it to where someone gets it, they're about 10 minutes ahead. But we get another mechanic right here, and this is called red swirls. Red swirls are simply preemptive attacks for the enemies, or really surprise attacks against you. It happens if the front of the enemy hits your back hitbox. Pretty standard affair for this type of stuff. You also have green swirls, which are preemptive attacks in your favor. And then blue swirls are just a neutral fight. And, oh, very nice dodge from AdmiralVyse, but unfortunately going to get a little stuck. The way that birds move is they tend to go really fast in one direction. And if they get stuck on a wall, you can get by them. But if you get stuck by the dog like he did there, you get in a bit of trouble. Because now that bird's going to keep hunting them and gets away from it. The dogs will chase after you as soon as, if you get on screen and get within range, they're going to keep coming after. And the snakes have a movement pattern that can be done with something called stutter stepping. And stutter stepping essentially means that the enemy only moves when you move. And if you're able to move in just small taps, basically just frame by frame movement, the enemy will only get a couple of moves in and you can sneak right on by them. But that only works with certain types of enemies. All right, and both of them actually getting here pretty close to each other. Even with the fight for Vyse, that was not too bad, simply because Namux had a little bit worse of a trip up the hill. Okay, and now that I'm watching, some shenanigans are afoot. Because Namux is way far ahead. I don't know. Forewarning, I've been up for 24 hours at this point. So I might miss a couple of things. But if I do, I sincerely apologize. Either way, the story we're getting from BuzzBuzz right there is that he's a bee from the future. He came forward to find Ness so he could fight Gygus, a great destroyer. And he must go on an adventure. Pretty much the actual thing that happened to all of us as children when we were playing in the sandbox. It's make-believe with an actual animal talking to you. The bread roll that he's picking up there, that's a handy little healing item for a little bit later. Not mandatory, but it does help. And what everyone is hoping for in the fight with Starman Jr. here is you're wanting him to guard because it takes very little time. You do not want to see fire betas from him because it takes the most time. But most importantly, you are wanting BuzzBuzz to hit twice for over 100 damage so that he can kill Starman in 2 turns and make it just as quick of a fight as possible. He can roll in the high teens and he can roll up to 150. This fight can drag on for a long time and make a pretty big difference. Both runners getting some fires, which is quite unfortunate. The fires take about 4.5 seconds longer than a guard, with good tech smashing. Freezes are okay. They're a bit faster than fires. Still not as good as getting a guard, but it's much preferable to a freeze. Let's hope for a good roll for Vyse here. Maybe a guard. Nope. Another fire. So these were both not wonderful fights. There we go, with the 112 taking them out. Now with Namux over here, BuzzBuzz, unfortunately, even though he can beat an alien, he is destroyed by the common housewife. Tells us that in order to fight Gygus, we're going to need to gather these melodies, as well as get some friends and just become more powerful. And he gives us an item called the Soundstone that will let us focus all of our memories back on these melodies that will somehow give us the power to defeat Gygus. Again, very common everyday story. But our current leader, Namux, coming down to what I like to call the Onet Zoo. This section can really get nasty. While the enemies are not particularly lethal, you can get pincered here, honestly, in a fairly common amount. Stutter stepping here is a skill that really will help you get past sections like this. If you have something like the snake right here, you can just stutter right on past it. You don't have to worry about despawning. Because every time you despawn, you run the risk of getting something coming up from behind you. And Namux here grabbing the Mr. Baseball Cap. Mr. Baseball Cap's actually the best defensive hat item that you can get in Onet. But we're not going to keep it. We do equip it because we're about to sell it. And selling it by just buying a new hat, which will give us 1 less defense, is a little bit faster. And the reason we're wanting to do that is it gives us $99, which lets us buy a cheap bracelet and our bat and a little weaker hat, which nets us about 4 extra defense. And the defense and offense in Earthbound work in just a very simple addition problem of offense minus defense. So particularly in these early points when we don't have a lot of HP, every point of defense really matters. So that 4 extra defense is a big deal. And you will see them be getting hamburgers. Hamburgers are just another food item that will help restore your HP without having to dip into any of your psychic points, which are like MP in your classic Final Fantasies and such. Now what Namux is going for is, there's a shark down there that is not moving, and he wants to go to him. Unfortunately, he tries to take shelter in the pizza place, but it's not open and he gets stuck. Now this can be a very dangerous fight if he goes again. Yep, and he's going back home. So, just like that, Namux is now in second. There can be a lot of lead changes in Earthbound. The game is very RNG heavy. Sometimes we make mistakes, and they can really be costly, and sometimes you just get some bad luck. But something you just saw AdmiralVyse do there is he went sort of in a crooked way around to the left of the hospital. And the reason he does that is that avoids some spawn tiles and helps you get to this guy with generally no risk of any spawns. But what we're looking from this guy is for him to either fall over or do his low roll of attacks, which generally just do in the low single digits. He can also charge forward, which can do about 12, which can kill nests. It's going to take 3 to 4 hits to kill this guy, and if he charges forward constantly, you're done. There we go. Now, the second fight with the Pogo Punk, it should take you about 2. And you do get a free hamburger from both these guys. And we just saw the instant kill mechanic with Namux over there. If you're much stronger than an enemy and they get into a fight with you and it's either blue or green, then you can just simply get a win. The game won't make you sit there and take an entire fight. Now, the Yes Man is a little bit less of a threat than the Pogo Punk, even though one did kill Namux. Their attack ratios are just a little bit easier to deal with. And now Admiral here is healing to full HP. Normally you would use the bread roll here, but at 24 HP, sometimes the bread roll won't let you go to full. But you want to be at full HP here, and anytime you take damage on Frank, you want to heal. Unfortunately, Admiral has not healed and got extremely lucky. I like the balls to the wall attitude. That paid off. I would probably say 4 out of 5 times, it's not going to pay off. Because Frank has that brandish a knife ability, and what that does is low 20s to high 20s in damage, and if you take 2 of those to the face, you're going down. But he got some lucky rolls there. But Frankenstein is a little bit different. He has every odd numbered turn is going to be a turn waster and just not do anything. And every even turn, with the first one being a low attack, which will do somewhere in the teens. And then on the 4th turn and beyond, you can do a higher attack, which can actually do into the high 30s. But Admiral taking a pretty risky path there with Frank, and it paid off. And I would honestly say 4 out of 5 times, if you are not healing on Frank and actually just trying to get some more offense in there, you're going to regret it. You're going to go back to mom. But it paid off beautifully for him. And Admiral, come back in. If you leave and come back to talk to Frank, he acts as a full restore point. No reason to go back to mom or use the hotel. He is just a complete medic. After you beat Frank, you gotta go and talk to the mayor, who is gonna give you essentially the key to the city. All it opens is a little shack. And that'll let us get into the first actual dungeon of the game. And in Giant Step, which is our first dungeon, the biggest thing there is stutter stepping is extremely helpful. I've been noticing Namux hasn't really been trying to do any stutter stepping and almost died. And I think Admiral has done a little bit. That's a pretty big thing that can separate your times if you're willing to be a little bit more risky with your spawns because you are practiced in stutter stepping. And stutter stepping isn't really just mashing the controller in the D-pad in a certain direction. There is a rhythm to it. If you're doing it too fast or too slow or erratically, you can kind of get off count with the frames that the enemy is going to move on and they're going to come after you. So it is really about rhythm. It's definitely one of the most important things I recommend to anyone wanting to learn Earthbound is learn how to stutter step. It can get you out of some really tough situations. Because as the game progresses, we don't want to fight anything or really get into a fight with anything. Not just because it's a time waste, but because things just get lethal because we don't get any equipment. So coming into Giant Step, what they're going to be looking for is 22 slugs. Slugs give really just the best EXP for the effort. They generally come in these packs of 4 and have 30 HP. When you get 22 of them, we'll hit level 8. And at level 8, you'll get your PSI favorite thing, Alpha. It's a 10 psychic point skill, which can do around 40 up to 120 damage to all enemies on the screen. It's very important for the first boss. And unfortunately, Ness is showing that he was a bench warmer on the C team by missing slugs with a baseball bat. It's extremely infuriating sometimes. And Admiral here really showing how stutter stepping can help. Every single enemy in Giant Step is vulnerable to some stutter step kiting. But what you'll notice is the enemy that he's going for are the little black dots. All of the dots on the first floor are always going to be slugs. Once you get up to the second and third floor, they also take either a slug or an antoid. Antoids are much more powerful, and they can heal and call for help, bringing more antoids into the fight. There's ways to distinguish it. Looking on the ground and noticing that there's 4 clustered together, or 2 sets of 2 kind of nearby. That lets you know that there's slugs. The other way is just trial and error and hitting it. But if you ever see just 1 or 2 together, or possibly if you see 3, that means that you're most likely going to run into a group of ants. When you see a group of 3, it's possible that there could actually be 4, just 2 of them are stacked on top of each other. Mini runners will prefer to stay on the first floor, and they will get their level 8 just here off the first. A lot will try and get up to 16, and then get up to the third floor where a group of 6 can spawn. It's all more about variation and your own personal comfort level. But Admiral's not having a bad hunt here. Alright, Namix doing some stuttering, so there we go. Seemed to kind of ignore it on the snake, so I was a little worried he wasn't going to be doing it at all. But it's too important of a skill to learn in a shorter category race like this. Now they're both kind of in a dry spell. Again, they need 22. And in a situation like this, it's mandatory. And Namux there, opening up the menu, shuffling the cursor around to move the game's RAM. It doesn't really do anything, but when it works, you feel like it does, and it just... a little bit of confirmation bias. Makes you feel warm and fuzzy, but there's no way that you can predict that you're going to get better RNG by opening the menu and shuffling it around. In theory, when I started to do it back in 2015, I was thinking, all right, there's got to be clusters of bad RNG, so let's just hit buttons randomly, waste half a second, and let's get some better RNG. And again, when it works, you feel like you're a champion for finding something new. And then when it doesn't, you just blame bad RNG. It's a win-win situation. There we go. It has a slug down there. Hopefully there's more than just the one. There's only the one. Namux is really struggling. Sometimes when you go in and out of this room where Namux is at, you can get 2 sets of 4, which is just the ideal situation, but it's a bit rare. He is just getting rat after rat. I think he's only killed 4 so far. But Vice is at 7 with another pack here. I think this is Namux's second, so Vice still does have a lead on him. But if Namux gets a bunch in succession, he'll actually gain up a good amount of time. Now, slugs are pretty harmless enemies for the first 4 turns. After the 4th turn, they are going to get a concentrate ability. All that simply lets them do is cast spells. And the only spell they have is Hypnosis. And naturally, Hypnosis will just makes it where you can't do anything for a few turns, possibly 1. When you get hit, there's only a chance you can wake up. It's once in a blue moon, but runners have died to slugs before. It's something you never forget. Not 100% sure why Admiral just ran into this fight unless he's a little offset after 7. Ah, this is what Namux needed. Yeah, really confused as to why he would run into 2 there. Antoid fights can spiral out of control real quick. Those are slugs. Maybe not. Maybe the other one might have spawned at the wrong time. And now he's gonna die. That was a weird pattern. I probably wouldn't have risked that one. There were 4 on the screen, but they were clustered pretty weird. So now Namux has the chance to get the lead back. He does still have some experience to come up on. I'm actually fairly surprised that wasn't slugs, but the only thing I can think of is with how they were positioned, there was the 3 together, plus you have the one in the top left of the pattern. That one in the top left of the pattern might have spawned independently. But the smash was unfortunate. Smashes are just critical hits. And instead of your offense minus the enemy's defense with a regular attack, it just increases it to 3 times your offense minus the enemy's defense. It was a death to an Antoid. He's still hunting for level 6. Or level 8, my bad. And I believe this is actually going to be level 8 for Namux. So this does give him the lead. Alright, there's no reason that shouldn't be slugs. Again, a close group cluster of 3. That means there was a 4th one hidden under there somewhere. The unnecessary smashes eating up a little bit of time. You just don't need them to kill. Alright, so there is level 8 for Admiral, looking to make his way out of the cave. Now, with Rockin', you do have the ability, if you do get into a unfortunate fight, you're able to just pop Rockin' and go. Right there, Admiral kind of hesitating, wondering if he could stutter step up the stairs and make it. Generally, in a situation like that, it'd be best just to turn around and go. Hey, and a nice cookie drop. Cookie can be helpful in a boss a little bit later with Mr. Carpainter. And this butterfly here, as long as you go far enough to the right, he'll always spawn. And he just grants you 20 psychic points. And it's a way to grind or a way to prep up before the boss. And something to check here, I didn't see if Admiral did or not. You want to have 24 offense or above. If you have 24 offense, you can instantly kill the Antoids. As long as you get a blue or a green swirl, which it'll have to be blue with them being a stutter step. Ooh, big step there. All right, there you go. Offense didn't matter. So coming into the Titanic Ant fight, first turn you want to use Rockin'. Ooh, with a 41 to open. He's definitely going to want to heal. And a 44 Rockin' against the Ants, 236 HP. That is really, really low. Alright, so he's going to be safe. Now, Ant does have a skill called Magnet, which is just an MP drain. He's going to want to not get hit by that. There we go. Now, he can use Life Up, or he can use Magnet as much as he wants. It's going to do nothing to Admiral. Shield halves physical damage. So this is going to make the fight take forever, seeing that he did a collective 110 with Rockin'. And Admiral's going back to Mom. Some pretty bad rolls on Ant's attack there. Much better start for Namux, with only taking 19 damage and dealing 57 damage. So really, not that much better. Alright, Ant opening up with a shield as well. 69 damage, so about a collective 120. That was some poor Rockins. It was about half of what he could have done. So now he's bashing it out. At half damage, if he does get a smash, it will negate the shield. But he is only going to be chipping away at about 10 to 12 HP a hit. Eating against his ever-decreasing stock of burgers. And Ant is attacking every turn, making this as difficult as possible. We very well could see 2 Ant deaths here. He only needs a little bit more, but he's running low on resources. He's probably going to heal again this next turn. Okay, good. A magnet. He can go ahead and attack this turn. Bread roll's not going to do much, but after this, it's time to just auto fight and hope. Whew, that was a nasty ant fight. All of his resources were drained, so he's going to want to go and grab some more burgers before the last section of Onet. But that was pretty brutal. Ant was having none of it. I think he defended here. Not 100% sure why. Just go ahead and rock in. There you go. And another complimentary cookie. Now that the dungeon has been completed, all the enemies here are afraid of Ness, and they're just going to walk away. Well, you can get a hamburger delivered, you just got to give it to your own personal storage man with Escargot Express. Yes, fortunately, food doesn't mold in Earthbound. It'd be kind of neat to make some kind of hard mode hack. Over time, your food will get moldy. You eat it, get poisoned. Or it just loses effectiveness over time. Among other things that would need to be done. Alright, let's see round 2. Okay, defense down is fine. It does no damage. And if it works, it will reduce your defense by 1, which is not a major deal. If he gets 2 or 3 of them off, it will be kind of worse because he's doing more damage. But he got 117 damage rocking there, which is almost max. There we go, and an 80. He could cut a lot of time off right here. Because he is just under 200. And one more hit will finish this. There we go. Use a hamburger to be safe. That's very respectable. Ooh. I've done math that wrong. This should be it. Okay. Yeah. Close enough. So Namux did buy some more burgers here. Admiral could actually elect not to get any more burgers. Which would catch him up a little bit. Ah, the 117 was an Antoid. Again, my apologies. We're running on 25 hours now of being awake. I figured this would be the perfect thing to do. To keep me running till my bedtime. So I don't go to sleep too early. So when anything comes to numbers, you're going to have to fact check me. Because odds are I'm going to see a number, and whatever my brain sees, my mouth is going to say something totally different. Now with the cops, you got 2 different attacks. You have a basic attack, which can do somewhere in the teens, and a crushing chop, which can do 30-35 damage. Naturally, you're going to want the basic attack, and you really want it to miss. But the crushing chop, it can be really nasty. That's why if your HP is at 50 or below, or if you want to be a little safer, maybe about 53 or below, you're going to want to heal. If you're above about 40 HP, it's a good idea just to use a hamburger to save the psychic points, since they are also an offensive resource. But if your HP is below 40, you'll probably want to use a life up. That way you can have a better chance of being at max HP and reduce the amount of time it's going to take for you to need to heal again. Ooh, Namux just saved right there. Something to note with how the HP works in Earthbound, you notice how the HP actually scrolls down when they take damage. If you're able to get an action in before you actually reach 0, what'll happen is you can get your action, and if it kills the enemy and ends the fight, then you're saved and you'll stop at 1 HP. Or you'll stop at whatever HP the counter stops at. Or if you're able to get a heal off before your HP reaches 0, you'll save the kid. Now this is different from a gut save. A gut save is where someone takes, let's say they're at 20 HP and they take 23 damage, but they stop at 1 HP. A gut save is not you have 20 HP and you take 19 and end at 1. That's just a good roll. For it to actually be a gut save, the damage has to actually be lethal, but you stop at 1 HP. Alright, 95 to Captain Strong. Another Rockin' will do it, but it can be resisted. And it's not, so Namux is out of Onet with a 38-12. Both had a death, both had a pretty poor slug hunt. Both had some misfortunes with Titanic Ant, so 38 minutes ain't too bad. And the cops do have a chance of dropping a burger here. So sometimes, if you're here in a race situation, you do buy burgers, and you think, you know what, I'm a little behind, I'm not going to buy burgers, I'm just going to risk it. It's okay. You can get lucky. But Namux here has graced us with the rare appearance of a shroom. The shrooms are deadly foes because they hit fairly hard and they have okay amount of HP, but you can kill them quickly like you did there. But they have a status effect. Namux has about 20 seconds to get to a hotel, or not a hotel, get to a hospital, because momentarily you guys are going to see him just walk in a random direction. That's not just an accident. The game will actually start to rotate your D-pad about 9 degrees every couple of seconds, as long as you have that mushroom on your head. And when you're in combat, it also acts as a source of confusion, as there is a chance at the beginning of your turn, whenever you're about to attack or heal or just do any action, it has a chance of reselecting the target. Oh, there it goes. Now Namux gets to deal with this. And it's a little bit of testing of Earthbound knowledge. If he knows that he can go to the hospital, or if he goes all the way to Peaceful Rest Valley and has to carry this with him. If you are not used to the mushrooms doing this, or if you are unaware that the mushrooms do this, it's asinine. Especially as it will keep changing on you. Alright, so Admiral healing first turn of Captain Strong. Move I recommend. He does have 20 psychic points, so he can get a good rockin' off here. Alright, 77's a good roll. Another rockin' will kill him. There we go. Alright, so a little over 2 minutes behind, but Namux is man-moding this mushroom and is going to lose a little bit extra time to this. So yeah, I'm guessing that he's just going to go to the NPC over in Peaceful Rest Valley, and his controls switching up on him and making him go through doors. This could actually give Admiral a good amount of time to catch up. He could end up switching his controls as he goes into a room and run into a sprout. These mushrooms are very, very unfortunate. And one thing to note about them, if you do get caught with a mushroom here early on, and let's say you have it for about 15-20 seconds, but you get it healed and you never had your controls changed. What can happen is if you get to, say, the fight with the boss Shroom, a little over the halfway mark in the game, and he shrooms somebody, as soon as you get out of that fight, your controls can be swapped, because the mushroom timer is on a global timer. It's not like individual each time you get it. It's if you've had the mushroom before and you had it for like 20 seconds and then got rid of it, and then you get it again, it continues that original timer, so you'll instantly be walking funny. It's a huge jerk move. Oh, there we go, and controls reversed, almost walked out. Now, the NPC that can get rid of this mushroom is right on the other side of this tunnel, and it almost happened to him. He almost walked into a spawn because of it. Gotta be careful. Alright, so the NPC is right here. He's gonna get rid of it, but that did cost him a decent chunk. Like, honestly, Admiral is now just right on his tail. And namux going up, you don't actually have to talk to the pencil eraser. You just have to be able to go far enough up that the game will load it into its memory. And that will give you a trigger to get a phone call here a little bit later. Yes, you do get the extra $50 for getting it. See, as long as Admiral doesn't get many spawns here, about a minute separating them. Yeah, I mean, the advantage of going to her instead of the hospital in a race is, I mean, she's on the way, but it's a lot more time spent with that, and I think he lost a little bit more in time to the confusion of refiguring out the controls than he would have lost just going up to the hospital. And with these spawns, Admiral's probably about a minute and a half behind. Still gained. Yeah, there is a guy at a hotel, and you can just sit there and spam talk to him, and eventually he'll just give you $50 to go away. But while there's not a whole lot going on right now, just Admiral covering the area and namux walking back to where we've seen. Do a little bit of plugs. Be sure to follow the runners. Follow me because I'm selfless and, you know, I have no shame, so follow me. Be sure to follow all 3 of the speed gaming channels. I was unaware that 3 existed until I got home and agreed to do this. So be sure you're following all 3 of them. Follow Earthbound as a game on Twitch. There's actually 4 now. Well, I'll be. Look, I've got a 230-mile commute on Tuesdays. I can't be expected to stay up to date on all the Twitch news. Yeah, I don't think it's that old. I think it was made like at the end of September. At least I don't feel like it's that much older. I haven't seen one of these on 3. But be sure you're following all 4 of the speed gaming channels, as I have just done. follow Earthbound as a game. And Namux here getting into the real meat and potatoes of Peaceful Rest Valley. And Peaceful Rest Valley has much more deadly enemies. They'll start doing more status effects. The little UFOs are absurdly fast. The robots can give you a cold. The trees can beat you up in a moment. And they also explode on death. Why on earth is Speed Gaming 3 older than Speed Gaming? That don't make no math sense. Alright, not a bad Peaceful Rest Valley for Namux. Very easy to get pincered in this area. Actually lost a little bit of the gap that Admiral was closing just because he got such a good one. So hopefully Admiral's able to get through here with little to no trouble. Butterflies are plentiful here at least, but you don't want to be fighting anything. And over in Happy Happy Village, you want to get a new bat and a Holmes hat. Holmes hat is just more defense, and the new bat just more offense. So kill things faster and die slower. This is still at a point in the game where small numbers make big differences. That little bit of extra offense can give you a good bit of longevity in some of these nastier fights. And Admiral got baited. So UFOs will only move vertically if they have lateral room to go. So if you're right above it, they will not chase after you. They have to be able to make some kind of lateral movement in the process. And ooh, we got that nice hamburger off. Namux in the first gatekeeper fight. The cultists can hit for high teens. They can also call for help. They have 94 HP, so you really want to see that rock and try and take out at least one of them. This can be a nasty fight, but with the current levels and non-manipulated runs, it's not as deadly, but you do got to be careful. And that crow has really high speed, one of the highest in the game, even though it's an intro enemy. And enemies can resist rocking based on speed. And while the crow's damage is not lethal, it can steal your food items. But all in all, that's a nasty fight. Got out of it with minimal punishment. Just lost in time. Which I guess is the world in a race. So Namek's going to have one more cultist fight coming up. It's a single, but this fight is no less deadly than the fight in the cabin. This guy can very well just call for help in the first turn. And if he gets nobody, and awesome. But if he gets somebody, poo. And the first guy, it just spam and calls for help. One of them did succeed. Now, Namux may elect to not heal at all. It's a pretty smart move. One more hit will kill him. And you want to have low HP coming into the next fight, because it does set up a death warp. I have no idea why he would use a cookie there and heal. That cookie can be used very effectively in the next fight to get a good HP for the death warp. But you see, for me, I've been running this game a long time. When I see newer folks come into the game, there's very little that I find to be a cardinal sin when it comes to running Earthbound. But what I do find to be just an unforgivable deadly sin in this game is healing on the wrong turns in Car Painter. It is impossible to die in a few of these turns. And those turns are every first, third, fifth, in that order, because he goes in a cycle. The first turn of his cycle is going to be a lightning attack. With the Franklin badge, it cannot hurt you. You want it to hit you so it will reflect back. The second hit in the cycle is going to be either a life up to himself or a shield to himself. And that is set in a pattern. He alternates, starting with a life up, then a shield. And then the third turn of the cycle is going to be a physical attack. Now, that physical attack is the only thing that can kill you. So the only reason that you want to heal on any of these turns is you want to either heal on the turn that he's going to be hitting you if you have enough HP, which is generally about 23, 24, depending, or a little lower if you have good mashing skills. Or you want to heal on the second turn if you have lower than that and you won't be able to mash. But you never want to heal on the lightning turn because he cannot kill you on that turn or the next turn. And there's a fun little glitch in the game. The lightning from the Franklin badge isn't technically a psychic attack, but it is still thunder. So what happens is, if he hits you with the lightning and you have a life up queued up, it'll actually reflect the life up and then just negate the damage of the thunder. So you're out 5 psychic points, you didn't get any healing done, and you did no damage to Car Painter. The only reason I can think of why that happens is with Car Painter's psychic shield up, it's looking for a psychic attack to negate, and whenever you are reflecting the attack, I'm guessing it assumes that Ness is attacking, and since Ness has a psychic ability queued up, it just kills the attack. Admiral also getting a call for help in this fight. Ooh, getting 2. And this is how just nasty this fight can be. You can get cultists for days. Not an ideal fight, but he made it through. And I don't get it. I don't get why people heal here. We're going in for a death warp, as we're going to be seeing with Namux here momentarily. If you start Car Painter with a lower amount of HP, and if you get a good amount of HP from the level up, it's not going to be as bad. But there is zero reason to heal before Car Painter. I mean, absolutely no reason to heal before Car Painter. See, now he's at 83. If he kills him in one cycle and gets a lot of HP, his death warp could take forever. Namux getting rid of the bear, taking off his armor, and now we're hoping that the mole kills him real quick so he gets back to Tucson in a hurry. 156 lightning reflex, actually really good. Now the mole can confuse himself. He also has just piss poor accuracy. But we're hoping that he'll just lay into Ness. With 89 HP, it'll take at least 2 hits for him to kill Ness. But it could take up to 4. So 89 HP is really not an ideal. I would say on average, 89 is probably going to take him 3. And sometimes the mole will just lay into Ness like that and get it done quickly. Because his damage range is anywhere from the high teens up into the 40s without a smash. And him doing the attack that does in the 40s is much rarer. But once back in Tucson, you gotta revive Paula. You can't advance the story triggers without Paula being alive. Her parents just won't accept a ghost. You come down here and talk to not Luigi. Get a backstage pass that lets you get in. You do first got to go back and talk to Paula's dad. Let him know you're not kidnapping his daughter. That crow was a little bugged out. And Admiral's at 34 HP. It's fairly a good chance that he could die in one hit to the mole here. Nope, for the sake of plot, Paula's got to be alive. It should make sense that she can be a ghost. There we go, very nice. Losing Ness in one turn. That should speed this up. Oh, wow. Very quick Death Warp. Made up some time again. And here we go over to talk to Everdread. The game kind of assumes that you go over and fight him. He's supposed to be like really the game's fourth boss. But you actually don't have to talk to Everdread. He's an entirely optional encounter and really the only optional boss in the game without any major glitches. And an interesting fact, fighting Carpainter or fighting Everdread in a Boogie percent race has a 100% win rate. I know this because the only person to ever fight Everdread in a Boogie percent race was Andy Perfect against me in the 2015 series, and he still beat me. And it shattered my pride for a month. But now that all the hard work's done, it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy one of the many shows on Earthbound. If you're looking for an RPG to run, and you like Earthbound, but you're worried about a longer category, you think you may need to get up and use the bathroom a couple of times, maybe get up and get a drink, stretch your legs, hell, get up and get a smoke, whatever you need, Earthbound has a little more than 25 minutes of input breaks throughout the course of it. Throughout the 4 to 5 hour run. Many of them are 1.5 to 3 minute breaks. And there's actually more than 25 minutes if you count some of the little smaller, like 10-15 second breaks. But you get a good about 25 minutes of extended input breaks. So it's a really good longer RPG for folks who want to run a long RPG but don't really want to have to sit there for the entire duration of it. I myself, being a caffeine addict, I got to use the bathroom a lot, and I got to get a drink refill a lot, so Earthbound's pretty perfect for that. But after watching the show, you go and give the wonderful amount of money that Everdread gave and rescue the Runaway 5, just out of the kindness of your heart. And to advance the plot so you can get to the next town. And speaking of being a caffeine addict, while the event music plays here, I'm gonna go get me a drink. Alright, so I hope you all enjoyed that break there. I know I did. Ooh, Admiral forgetting an important step here. He's really not far behind. Again, Earthbound is a very RNG heavy game. You can still see a lot of swings here. It ain't over until it's over. And here in the spoopy town of Threed, October's favorite town, have a bunch of zombies and insects and mobile trash cans, spoopy ghosts, all of which are absurdly lethal. This really begins the point of you don't want to take any fights. Oh, so I was getting a drink. I missed it. Did Namux get the photo? That's an unfortunate loss of time. As you want to kind of hug the building fairly closely. It helps you avoid getting a photo. And very rudely here, Ness is out on his first date with his girlfriend here to town filled with undead creatures and decides to follow a hooker into a hotel room. I find that to be a little base and vulgar of the young man. But he gets what he deserves by getting thrown into an undead prison. The thing is, with Namux getting that photo, you know, Admiral's really not that far behind. That time really matters. I mean, a proto-death should be the next major fight coming up for Namux, and Admiral will be right up there with them. Ooh. Amen to that, Razor Knight. So, Namix now taking control of Jeff, the most polarizing character in all of Earthbound politics. Some people love him, some people hate him. He's really the most powerful and overall the most damage potential of any character in Earthbound. But there is a very big lacking of consistency, even with the right setup. World record is 103 by Daniel RGT. He's a long-time runner, so just very in tune with how the game works and how to deal with situations. Plus, he got absurdly good RNG throughout the whole run. I believe he got like a 2630 net. For reference, this run was, I think, like a... Namix got out first with a 3830. And while there were some mistakes here and there, overall it was just bad RNG. It was 35-18. Okay, that was 38 for Admiral. Still, about 9-minute difference, just an O-net. A 26-minute O-net unmanipulated is insane. But Namix getting some gear for Jeff, letting him come out and meet the most hated character in Earthbound, which paired with the most polarizing character in Earthbound makes him for a good duo, is Bubble Monkey. Bubble Monkey's a straight-up jerk, and I'm glad one of his offspring, way in the distant future, gets the crap shocked out of him in Mother 3. I'm not sure, Billin. See someone up, pop the schedule. There we go. Bubble Monkey has this little thing where he'll just stop moving and not come with Jeff for a little bit, which can get you into some bad fights. He can attack, but he only does 1 damage. If he does decide to smash, it deals 7, which is a fairly significant amount of damage. And right there, perfect example of why Bubble Monkey's a jerk. Now, see, if Namux would have turned back around, Bubble Monkey follows Jeff's hitbox. So if Namux would have just turned around, he still would have got a blue swirl there instead of a red. Fortunately, it was just a dogfight. Taking a dogfight here, I mean, that's something even I do in glitchless attempts. It's a quick fight. It can give you up to 3 more HP, which makes the world of difference in the next fights. Give you 1 extra offense, which isn't much. It slightly increases your chances of a 2-turn, but you do need a smash from Bubble Monkey. But it can give you a bread roll, which is an extra healing item to be safer. Now, it's an Earthbound race. And this channel has no emoticons. Fiesel, there's a problem. I know you probably got like a million things on your plate, but there's no MS Paint Beast in this here channel. How are the people going to show their love for Tessie? How about we just get some nice mythical creature emotes? But Tessie here, always a fan favorite. So happy with life. It's probably enough, White Syndic, especially since the emote doesn't work. Okay, so you're going to see Namux here. He's going to make a diagonal path down instead of going straight. That's not an accident. Making a diagonal path here skips a 100% spawn tile. If you do walk over that tile, you'll end up getting a goat fight. Goats are absolute jerks. But as Namux comes into Brick Road, we're going to be fighting the worthless Protoplasm. Despite the name, well, probably the hardest enemy in Earthbound, because this fight's completely RNG. You just either just keep attacking your auto fight and hope for the best. You're generally going to have to hit the thing 3 times. It is possible to hit it twice with the Bubble Monkey Smash and kill it, but it can confuse itself, call for help, and just hit you every turn. Unfortunately, Namux got a call for help. He can still win this fight. He's going to heal. It's going to pay off for him. I generally don't recommend healing if you get a call for help. But since he did get the bread roll, it works out. But if he still dies in this fight, he's now short a healing item, and he's still going to die and go back to where Tessie spawned him. And he's kind of spreading out his damage right now. Fortunately, the Protoplasms are fighting each other. Now, at this point, if I was Namux, I would just start running. Because he is 1 hit from death. I think he still needs 2 on this Protoplasm. Yep. He's got to hit him this turn. All right. Well, it paid off for him, but it was a very long fight, and Admiral is right on his tail. If Admiral gets a 3-turn, he is not far behind. Looks like we got a little bit of splicing going on Admiral's side. The news desk is staying tuned for any inconsistencies. Oh, namux, no! When the duck spawns right there, you can try to pull him down and just skip the duck. But he was a little too hasty. A duck skip here for namux could have been a huge deal. Admiral getting a great protoplasm fight. If he gets a duck skip, he'll be in the lead. Doesn't look like he will. Oh, maybe. Yeah, he's kind of going for it. Don't want to spend too much time on it. That's not a great spot. Kind of at this point, you just want to accept it. There is a chance you could get by without him actually aggroing. Fortunately, not the case, but he's still right behind. He didn't heal, though. He may know how close he is. This is why in races, I don't like knowing where I am in relation to my opponent, because I can make mistakes like this. The duck can kill him in one hit. Whew, he has very poor accuracy at least. All right, it paid off, but he's going to want to heal. And you can skip this next fight. There's a little bit of manipulation of the spawning. These types of enemies, when they aggro you, they just make a beeline, and then they'll stop at one point. And Bubble Monkey likes to get into that fight. Admiral really needed that skip to stay right behind him. But namux didn't seem too confident in the stutter stepping. So Admiral still has a chance. Oh, okay. That was a very cooperative Bubble Monkey. Oh, Admiral doesn't need these drops. Uh-oh. Get out of there, namux. All right. I don't know if you guys are getting as much pixelation as I am. Seems like maybe the quality on the restream down a little bit. I'm also showing this stream at 19 hours and 15 minutes. Uh-oh. So, a 3-fight with slugs. They're the same as what Ness fought, but Jeff is more geared. So, it's not really a threat, but it's a huge time sink. Admiral just needs to get a good first cave and get through here. Okay. All right, there you go. Knowing your limits, that's a good thing. If you don't feel confident you're going to make the stutter step, better just back off. Looks like he's going to have to take this one, though. Yeah, Admiral, you're pinned. Oh. And showing one of the big scary things with stutter stepping. If you get off of the rhythm, everything's going to get off a little bit. Oh. And that might be a nail in the coffin for Admiral. Now, he can't get out of this fight. Kill the slug first just so he gets out. Looks like he targeted the mouse. Alright, so he's out. His main hope is that namux gets a whole bunch of spawns here. Looking at how he's playing, I do feel that he is, either him and namux are talking or he's watching namux. I mean, when you're in these kind of races, not knowing where your opponent is, I just feel helps you play a little better. Because if he feels he's right behind, he's just starting to get real risky. That's when mistakes get made. Or it could just be coincidence. Oh. Good luck, Admiral. You don't got time to think about it, just gotta go. So namux is our first person. And a little bit of dialogue, and he'll be back on his way to Threed. That was a pretty ballsy attempt to try to get through there. So a little bit of an input break. Kind of gives you a montage of cities to come. And then we're on to the last fight. Now, he could have taken that. That is a bit of a risky pull. You want to aggro the mushrooms and let it come down a little bit so it won't snipe you as you're walking left. But again, he's really not far behind. But he is currently relying on either a bad Boogie Tent fight or Namux getting into a fight on the way to Boogie Tent. So we're coming up on the home stretch. Really, the only thing to do here, other than head to Boogie Tent, is there's a teddy bear to grab. Generally a wise choice to grab it. Teddy bears act as meat shields. They have a 75% chance to take single target damage for you. And Jeff is our resident tinker and he'll open the door for us. So let's see what happens with Namux. He is closing in on a finish. Yep, he will be getting the teddy bear. Good call. Alright, so no spawns for Namux on the way down. It just comes down to Boogie Tent. Various ways to deal with this. Some people will just defend with Paula and Ness, and you shoot the big bottle rocket with Jeff. He's electing to go ahead and do some damage with Ness and Paula just in case this fails. Oh, and Paula going down, she's your lowest damage dealer, but her being down gives you a quicker level up. But that was actually a lot of damage to Boogie Tent. Now, if he kills Ness, Namux is in trouble. This bottle rocket's gotta hit. Alright, teddy bear doing its job. High roll could kill him, yes. Even a low roll, okay. So Namux will be finishing. And actually be finishing pretty quick because we don't have to sit through Paula's level ups. In this category, it is actually preferable that Paula dies because we don't need her to level up because we're not continuing. So Namux will be taking the victory here. Admiral, double checking that trash can. Just in case anything changed. It's gotta be sure. Ooh, an Admiral getting a very unfortunate spawn. Behind that sign can be some nasty stuff. Just electing to guard. Every turn that you go, you're having a 10% higher chance to run away. And it's based off of speed. Those guys are not particularly fast, so 3 turns in, you have a pretty good chance to run. So no health loss there. Not a big deal. Alright, defense spray first turn, so no damage. 86 rocking, pretty good. A 405 bottle rocket, which I think was almost the damage that Namux's did. And there he goes. Alright, so Namux will be finishing in second. Had some good catch-up. A lot of rubber banding going on. But it was a good race by both of them. And again, I do believe this is the final race of the group stages for the Earthbound Super Series. Brackets will be starting soon. As before, here's a bunch of links in the chat for you. Be sure to follow the runners. Follow the commentator, because he's a nice and totally humble person. Follow all the speed gaming channels so you can catch the action when it's up. Follow Earthbound on Twitch. A lot of folks running Earthbound. We just hit 100 people on the glitchless leaderboards, which was a goal for me to see the community get for a very long time. Super happy we got it there. But I hope you guys enjoyed. And I believe we've got some Link to the Past randomizer coming up on this channel. So I will turn it over to Feasel. Maybe it's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite instead.